On July 5th, 2004, in Rome, Georgia, 33-year-old Thad Reynolds would walk into the Frito-Lay distribution center where he had worked for years and had recently been promoted to general manager. That morning, Thad Reynolds did not know what was about to hit him. Unbeknownst to him, an unknown man would walk in, pull out a hunting knife, and begin stabbing and slashing at Thad Reynolds. While Thad Reynolds put up a very big fight and a very strong fight, he ultimately died from being stabbed, loss of blood, and shock. It would be one of his employees who would find him on the brink of death. Thad Reynolds was pronounced dead later on at the hospital. When his church, Hollywood Baptist, got notified of his death, they immediately rushed to his wife Michelle's side. But what they didn't know was the sin that led to Thad's death was entwined with Michelle and their well-known youth pastor, Scotty Harper. Long story short, Scotty Harper and Michelle Reynolds were having a very long, illicit, and very sexual affair. Their affair started innocently enough. However, throughout the emails, phone calls, and text messages, lust eventually turned into love. Michelle Reynolds, according to investigators and prosecutors, would put Scotty Harper up to murdering her husband. Michelle Reynolds did not want to be a preacher's wife, and she had even divorced Thad once early in their marriage. But due to the fact that over the 2 years that they were divorced, Thad persistently prayed and asked everyone around him to pray that they get back together. And during their co-parenting sessions, he would drop hints that he wanted his family back. Michelle eventually gave in. However, after 3 more children and them building a house, according to prosecutors, Michelle did not want her squeaky clean lifestyle, but she wanted the perks of it. So she lured Scotty Harper into an affair and got him to do her dirty work. When Michelle Reynolds was arrested almost a year after the crime, she was taken into custody and never made a statement. Scotty Harper also was taken into custody due to the fact that at his workplace, police and investigators found all the evidence they needed, from the bloody clothes he was wearing to the hunting knife that Thad was stabbed with. After many years of legal wrangling, Michelle would eventually take a plea deal. Scotty Harper would also take a plea deal, but in exchange for his testimony, or at least his side of the story, he wanted the death penalty off of the table for Michelle and life imprisonment. And according to some, that showed the level of love that he still had for her. Scotty Harper basically confirmed everything that police and investigators had already long suspected. In 2008, Michelle Reynolds would walk into a Georgia courtroom and she would plead guilty to masterminding the murder of her husband, Thad Reynolds. Michelle was sentenced to, I believe, 22 or 24 years in prison. By 2008, she had already served about a good 3 years. They credited that for her time served, and Michelle Reynolds is eligible for parole according to sources in the year 2028. Scotty Harper is currently still in a Georgia prison serving out his life sentence without the possibility of parole. Michelle's 4 children were placed in the custody of Thad Reynolds' parents. And according to Thad Reynolds' mother, she said if she could ask her former daughter-in-law anything, it would be this: why did my son have to die? You had left him once. Why didn't you leave this time? Why did my son have to die? Michelle Reynolds has never given a statement either to police or publicly about her role in the murder of her husband.